From architecture to painting and sculpture, literature to live music and theater. Radio 111 presents Bonnie G. and Brayan Mendoza with The Desert Scene, your connection to culture and entertainment in the desert cities. Here's Bonnie and Brayan.
Welcome to the Desert Scene. Why am I not hearing much? There we go. Okay, welcome to the Desert Scene. So we're heading into the holidays. Thanksgiving's coming up. Are you doing something exciting for Thanksgiving, Brayan?
That's a good question. I think I'm going to have the first normal Thanksgiving in a while because it's going to be the Thanksgiving Day parade's back. The Charlie Brown special is going to be on my Blu-ray finally because I finally bought that. And I'm just going to have, I already have my recipes filled up. I'm super prepared already. I don't know.
Do you cook? Are you part of the
yes, I cook.
Chef team?
Yes, I cook the green bean casserole, which is not a lot, but I
love green bean casserole. Yeah,
I cook that. I cooked pumpkin pie once.
I love pumpkin pie. That's my favorite pie by far. Yeah. Did it not come out well?
It came out well, but it's I was tasting it. I was like, this tastes almost as good as the store-bought one, so I might as well just save myself the trouble and buy that. Yeah. And also I bought, what was it? Sweet potato casserole. I also made that. So, and I think the first time I made it, there was a part of it that came out raw. The corner of it wasn't cooked all the way, but the rest of it was fine. So we just cut off that part and
throw it in the microwave.
And there we go. And I do help with the mashed potatoes, but it's weird because my mother used to do everything, and she still does the turkey. Yeah. But I somehow took over the responsibility of most of the cooking, and no one's complained about it yet. In fact, I've gotten a lot of compliments.
Well, good for you.
So I'm really happy because because typically the men in my household and my family don't cook, but it's nice to see that no one tells you otherwise. They're actually oh, you're a cook. You cook? That's great, you know. So it's not a man or woman thing, but it's one of those things. But what do you cook? Do you cook?
I do not cook. Eric cooks. Eric is the cook, my partner. I clean and do laundry and all that. I do everything else, but he does the cooking. He's good at it and he likes it. But we're actually going to his friends. He has a gig. He has a 2-seating early gig from 12 to 5 or something at I forget where, some country club, playing piano, which is great. But then when he's done, then we're going to a friend's house. But hers isn't starting until 6:30, so we're not cooking anything. And she knows my situation. So she's doing a big turkey, but she's making a piece of salmon for me because I don't eat turkey.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say,
but it'll be fun. We've gone to her house before.
The Thanksgiving salmon.
Yeah, salmon. I love it. I mean, so it's great, and it works out great. I love it when he has a gig early enough that he can still come, to a dinner and sit down with friends. So.
Does he usually have gigs on Thanksgiving and Christmas?
Yes, the last. Gosh, 5, 6, 7 years, I think. He's always had a Thanksgiving gig playing piano for some restaurant that's serving. And Christmas, it depends. Yeah, sometimes he's had Christmas Eve, sometimes he's had Christmas, not usually Christmas Day. But Thanksgiving, he's almost always had a Thanksgiving piano gig. Yeah.
Now I'm curious, are you the type of person that has their Christmas decorations up before Thanksgiving or afterwards?
No, I'm glad you brought that up. First of all, we talked about this. I think part of the problem is, two things. Eric says he thinks it's stores pushing, get people to buy stuff early. I think it's more that people are desperate for joy right now. Oh, people need to be happy and have something to be happy about. It's let's do Christmas early. But I think I told you we had people with Christmas lights on their house before Halloween.
Oh,
which I think is a little too early. But no, the only thing I have fall stuff up. I have a fall wreath on the door. But I did go out. We have 2 really cool cowboy boots that are outdoor vases, pots you put plants in the front yard. And we have fake flowers in there. So I just switched them. We had some yellow ones. And I got some red and holly and pine cones, some Christmassy stuff in the boots in the front yard. That's it. That's the only Christmas thing I have up yet. I am not doing anything else till after Thanksgiving.
We like to have it's because I grew up in a Mexican household. And so for us, we didn't celebrate Thanksgiving until I was about 6 years old or 7 or 8 actually. So my mom had never celebrated Thanksgiving because for us it's because I have immigrant parents. I was born here, but my parents, they came to the United States, and so for them it was kind of like, oh, it's that holiday that
wasn't
everyone
really their thing. Yeah,
it's like that holiday that everyone else celebrates, but we're just sitting here watching TV. And because in Mexico, like Christmas, because the rest of the world, Christmas is actually like the big holiday. It isn't like the 3 big holidays, it's the big holiday. And so for them, Christmas was really wonderful and special for them. And in Mexican culture, we get like 2 Christmases almost. We get, I would even argue, like 4 maybe, because we get Christmas Eve where most of the stuff happens, and then Christmas Day is like the relaxing day. And then January 6th and 7th are like Christmas, the other Christmas where you leave your shoe out for...
Wait, no, what is it called? Does it have a name?
Dia de los Reyes, like King of the Day of the Kings.
Okay.
The 3 kings.
Okay.
Those days you mostly leave your shoes out, and I think the idea is that the 3 kings bring you like gifts.
So they put little things in your shoes?
I believe so. Sometimes.
Okay.
It just
That's
depends.
kind of like this hanging the stockings on the fireplace. Yeah.
Kind of like, it's almost like that, but it's weird because the shoe thing I never had to do. But in my household, like Christmas, we tend to put our Christmas stuff early because it's always been our mindset. But we don't do it during Halloween or before Halloween. We do it in the middle of November. So like this week, we barely put up the tree because we have a lot of decorations up. So we're one of those people that we like to have the decorations up for as much work as it takes to put them up. For
a long time. You might as well enjoy it. Now, do you have a real tree or a fake tree?
We do fake trees because the real tree, my mother always, she said, it's going to be silly, she said she feels bad throwing it away. That's how she said, like, she feels like she's hurting it by throwing it away. And I'm like, oh, Mom, but it's just a tree. She's like, I know, but I feel bad seeing it in the trash. And
well, I can, and there's a little letdown after Christmas, but I just love real trees. I mean, we had, as a kid, we occasionally had real trees, but we had fake trees a lot, and I just got tired of it. I just didn't like it. So I love getting real trees, but I never get it till, try to get it like around December 1st. Beginning of December. Never get it before that. Yeah.
I was going to say that for me, like the real tree, I think another reason why we don't have one is because of the fire safety thing, because we do put a lot of lights on our fake tree. So I'm trying to figure out like what do you do to keep your tree safe? Like I've never met anyone with a real tree really. Like, but how do you make sure that doesn't spark on fire? Because I hear about it all the time.
Well, first of all, you never leave the lights on when you're not there. Yeah. You always turn them off before you go to bed. You make sure that the tree is well watered. You have to make sure, but not just for that, but also because the needles fall off. To make sure you keep a lot of water in the bottom. And the 2 different schools of thought. Some people say put a little bleach in the tray with the water that keeps your tree fresh longer. Someone I think I heard sugar, but I think I heard bleach, just a tad of it. But you got to make sure you got lots and lots and lots of water in the little tray thing that you stick the tree in, and don't leave the lights on when you're gone, and turn them off when you go to bed. I've never had a problem.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, because like I've always heard a lot of like tree PSAs, but I think it's one of those problems where I don't want to undermine it because I'm sure people's houses have burned down, but it's one of those like maybe 10 people have had that happen to them once a year.
But I'd like to, but see, I would like to find out the backstory though. Did they leave them on for 10 days in a row and never turn them off? Were they gone? I mean, there had to be another reason, because there's millions and millions of people who have real trees and never have that problem. So what happened in that specific instance?
Oh yeah, and I'm trying to think about, because it's weird, because I think the PSAs are meant to handle those situations, because I've heard of people who like maybe do leave their tree on overnight, and I can see how that's a real problem.
No, don't do that. When you go to bed, when everyone in the house goes to bed, you unplug them.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
And I think that the fake trees, I love the fake trees just because of the fact that I don't have to worry about that, because we love to leave it on overnight on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, but it's one of those things where you also try to be very mindful of the fact that it's a fake tree, but still, like, it's not wise to leave everything overnight.
No. And I mean, I'm somebody who, I love Christmas and I love and I will, leave that's the very last thing I do before I go to bed is turn off the tree. Very last thing, because I like to leave it. And when I get up in the morning and I'm having coffee, I put it back on. So, I like it having it on, but just not while everybody's sleeping. Yeah.
And do you get a big tree or a small tree?
Big. Yeah, because we have pretty high ceilings in our living room. So, high enough that, you don't want it touching the ceiling because you want to put the star on and all that stuff, but pretty high. I like it because we have high ceilings in the living room, so it looks better. And
for us, we also have like our reefs, like the thing you put on the door and all that. We try to have as many lights as possible, and we just have like some inside home decorations. And we even bought. I'll have to show you the picture in just a moment. Yeah. But we even bought a Santa Claus outfit for our cat, and our cat clearly does not like wearing that.
I was just going to say, I can't imagine any cat that's going to want to wear that. You know what else I think we're going to do this year? We decided, because we have kind of a Spanish style house in Cathedral City, and above the garage there's this big space, goes up to the roof that would be perfect for a really big wreath. I mean, like 4 feet. So I think we're going to make one. We Googled how to get some like wire and then and make a really big wreath that goes up on the wall on top of the garage.
Oh, that's awesome.
Above the garage. Yeah.
And also I think that people kind of short sell this, but like Christmas in the desert, there's like this feeling like the wind just hits right and all that. Like, I don't know, because like I know that people have this idea of like the snowy Christmas and all that, but I don't know. There's something kind of nostalgic about like the desert Christmas.
Yeah, Christmas. I mean, Christmas in the desert. I do like it though when it's a little bit cool.
Oh yeah, certainly.
You got to be cool. I mean, like 60s or 70s with a little breeze. It gives you a little more feeling of Christmas than if it's 80. It's a little harder to feel Christmassy when it's 80. But hopefully it's nice if you look up on the mountains and maybe there's a little snow in the mountains.
Oh yeah,
that's nice too.
Certainly. And I was also going to ask you, like, what do you do with your Thanksgiving leftovers? I'm curious. Do you make sandwiches and all that?
Well, I don't eat turkey, but yeah, Eric does. Eric has. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And the rest, I love mashed potatoes and dressing, green bean salad. All the rest of it I like. So
I was going to say, what do you think is the most overrated the dish other than the turkey?
Wow, that's tough. I would have to say it has to be done correctly. If you do, I mean, some people do sweet potatoes or yams or whatever. If they're done correctly, like with brown sugar, great. But sometimes it doesn't come out really very well.
The potato casserole,
yeah, sweet potatoes or yams, or some people just do sweet potatoes. But if you do like brown sugar and that kind of thing, but I've had them where it wasn't very good. So.
I forgot what it was, but I went to this one Thanksgiving, but I forgot what it was. I remembered earlier. And it was like this like recipe that someone had brought, and it just was like, people have this on Thanksgiving. I've never heard anyone.
What was it?
I'm trying to remember what it was, but it was like I'm trying to remember what it was, like spinach, not
cream spinach or something like that.
Cream spinach or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was, but it was like spinach puffs or something like that. And I just thought, nobody has this on Thanksgiving. I've never heard.
Well, but it's always fun to mix it up. I don't mind trying something new occasionally,
true.
But anyway, all right. Well, we've talked about Christmas and Thanksgiving. All right, we're going to come back and have some entertainment news. We've got some great guests a little bit later. We'll have much more on the desert scene in just a bit.
The Desert Scene on Radio 111. Cultural events and the people who make it happen in the desert cities with Bonnie G and Brayan Mendoza.
All right, we're back with more on the desert scene. So we got lots of entertainment news. What's going on?
So I think we finally have an update for Rust. I know that we talked about it a couple weeks ago for 2 weeks, but They finally got some updates about what's going on with it. They're actually getting sued finally.
Mm-hmm.
So Alec Baldwin and the director and the assistant director are the subject of two lawsuits, one by a crew member and one by Mamie Mitchell, the woman who was the script supervisor and was the woman who called 911.
Right.
Yeah, and so there's been a lot of, like, let's just say in general, discussion about what's going on. And even I've seen, from my understanding, the news kind of take the statement that Mamie Mitchell was saying, which was that he intentionally shot it. I do want to clarify that I don't think she said it in the sense that, oh, he hated Helena Hodgkins and shot her. No. But certainly meant it as more or less like it wasn't an accident.
Now, I think she's the one, if I'm not mistaken, who said it was not in the script. That there was nothing in the script saying he should point the gun and shoot at that point.
Yeah, and I was under the impression, and I think that's what she was saying too, is because she's a script supervisor, so she's obviously...
So she knew, yeah.
And I think that there is something to be said there because it makes it into one of those things where, like, you don't... How do I put it this way? Like, I'm trying to figure out how to say it, but, like, you don't do that unless you're being told to do it, and also because of the fact that, like, it could have been prevented even further. It just makes this whole thing even worse by the fact that it's a preventable tragedy and on so many levels. Somebody
was saying, I think it was George Clooney, somebody said that Alec Baldwin ultimately had he really had the responsibility. There were all these checkpoints along the way that even if you're handed, as an actor, if you're handed a gun and someone says it's quote unquote cold, it's still your responsibility to double check it before you fire it.
No, certainly. And it's also one of those things where, like, I've seen a lot of discourse about this where somebody said, banning guns on set isn't exactly going to, like, fix it, but it's also one of those things where it's like, but what can you do? Because, like, I mean, it's clear that the system itself needs to be fixed on a lot of levels. And I also think that Rust at this point is not going to get finished.
Good. And it shouldn't. I don't think it should.
No.
That's my opinion.
And also, I just think it's one of those things where, like, there's so much going on with this film in the sense that it's just, I think they're going to get sued so much in legal fees and all that there's no way they can afford the budget for that film anymore. Especially considering that it was a low budget film. And I was thinking about this the other day, like, Rust, if anything needs to be, I think all the footage should just be preserved and put somewhere else. And what they need to do is just try to, like, figure out what's happened and use this as a lesson.
A learning experience for it not to happen again. Yeah, and as far as not having guns on set, we've talked about this. There are a lot of, I've read and heard, a lot of productions, TV movies, that they don't. They do the CG, computer-generated thing, and it's just fine.
Oh, yeah. And I think that I've seen a couple shows like 911 that are starting to use, like, CGI and all that, and I think there is something to be said about the fact that we have that type of special effects now. But it is a bit of a shame that, somebody had to die in order for that to happen. But it is one of those things where, like, I think that there's going to be way more lawsuits now. And also, it also ties into another situation with Astroworld, how there is now a $2 billion lawsuit on Astroworld. For those of you who don't remember, Astroworld tragedy was the fact that Travis Scott and Drake were performing, and there was this big venue, a bunch of people got crushed.
Was over. First of all, I mean, well, you tell me, because you know a little more. From what I know, it sounded like, number one, there were too many people jammed in there to start with. Number two, apparently the security wasn't what it should have been. There weren't enough people kind of monitoring situations. And number three, that whatever his name is, the rapper, either was not aware of it, should have been scanning the crowd more, or if he was, did nothing to stop and say, hey, we need to check this out, as other performers have done. And saved people.
And also, and I think that there's no way that Astroworld by any means could survive after this, like, because it's just one of those situations where
I wouldn't go there. I can't imagine.
Because the reputation, if it isn't going to be destroyed by the lawsuit, it's going to the reputation alone.
Yeah.
And I feel it's one of those things where, like, the film rest its reputation going to be destroyed.
I wouldn't see it. I wouldn't.
I wouldn't see Rust because at this point, I would just feel like there would be no way of, like, honoring someone watching that film. Like, it isn't like The Crow, where Brandon Lee really wanted to have that movie shown, and his family, was very expressive that he would have wanted that film shown regardless. This was a case of, like, Helena Hodgkins, where I don't know, because I feel like it sort of feels different this time.
Yeah, it really does. And I just think it would just be creepy, and I don't think it would honor her to have it shown and completed. And also, and as for Astroworld, well, that's, I'm never going to go because, first of all, can't afford it. And second, I wouldn't want to be there. It would feel creepy to me.
Oh, yes, certainly.
All right, we're going to be back with our first guest, Denise Strand, who's a wonderful actress, and she's in a great show, This Side of Crazy at Palm Canyon Theater. We'll be back with her in just a bit on the Desert Scene.
Bonnie and Brian continue with the Desert Scene on Radio 111. Here they are.
And we're back on the Desert Scene on Radio 111, and we're now joined by wonderful actress Denise Strand, who is starring in a really fun show, This Side of Crazy, at the Palm Canyon Theater. Hi, Denise. How are you?
Hi, Bonnie.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here today. So I'm hearing that this is a big hit. Well, with this cast, I mean, it's you, Yo Younger, Melanie Blue, and Deborah Harmon. You can't go wrong with that. So how much fun are you guys having?
Oh my goodness, we're almost in tears just realizing the show's going to be over tomorrow. So. Yes, we're all already very emotional.
So was just 4 days? Was it just Thursday, Friday, tonight, and tomorrow? Is that the whole run? Why did they decide to have such a short run?
Well, when Palm Canyon Theater does their classic series, and they only do a couple of years, they're only 4-day runs, and then the rest of the season they do their musicals because they're just such a big draw.
Yeah,
and their musicals are 2 to 3 weeks.
Wow!
So that's the way it's been just over the last couple of years. Yeah, that they've just done the 4-day run. So. I know.
Okay. Yeah, so it's if you want to catch it, it's tonight at 8 p.m., tomorrow at 2 p.m. You got to catch it. So tell us about this. Is Del Shores. And Del Shores, I know Palm Canyon's done a lot of his stuff. He wrote, he's from Winters, Texas, wrote Sordid Lives, Daddy's Dying, Who's Got the Will, and Southern Baptist Sissies, as well as this one. So tell us a little bit about the story of the play.
Well, This Side of Crazy, it's a cast of 4, and it's about a former gospel music star, and she's trying to reunite her 3 grown daughters for one last performance. And the gospel music is giving her this big 50-year tribute, so she's trying to bring the family together. So there's only one daughter, the oldest daughter, Rachel, that Yo Younger plays, and she's the only daughter left at home, and she's been living with Mama. We all call her Mama, but her name is Diddy Blaylock.
Okay.
And she still lives at home. And then my character, Abigail, I'm the middle sister, and I'm in a mental institution for attempted murder.
Okay.
And that all comes out in the story of, why that happened. And then the baby is Bethany, played by Melanie Blue.
Okay.
And she runs off, and she's been a stripper for 20 years. And so we all have our own kind of dysfunction. It's a very funny, dysfunctional family comedy, and there's tears, but there's mainly laughter.
Yeah. And Richard Marlowe is your director. So tell us about how you ladies and Richard, how that process was. So has it been really fun working with him?
Oh my gosh, I had never worked with Richard before. Didn't even know him. Mm-hmm. The other 3 actresses have worked with him. Actually, I believe on the stage, because Richard is also an actor. Mm-hmm. But as far as a director, oh my gosh, he is a love. He is really, really something. I just think he's just fantastic. What a joy, real joy to work with him.
And tell us, for people who aren't actors, what about a director makes you say that?
Well, number one, he's very patient. Mm-hmm. And that's hard because you have it set in your mind as a director of how you want things to go, what kind of time schedule you want to be on. And so when he's dealing with 4 women, he has to be a little more patient. We kind of get together, and then he's trying to direct, and then we're talking, and he's like, trying to get us like, okay, back to where he's thinking, and we have our own thoughts, and it can get very, very chaotic.
Yeah.
But the man has the patience of Job, I'm telling you, and just a loving man. And we're very, he treats us very special. Mm-hmm. And he treats each one of us like we're very, very important.
Oh, and so,
and just all around, he's just wonderful to work for. Mm-hmm. And that's important as an actress.
Absolutely, yeah.
You have to like who you're working for.
Right, exactly, or it gets kind of weird. Now, I know you've worked with Yo before. Had you worked with Melanie and Deborah before on stage?
No, I did not know Melanie, mm-hmm. So we have developed a fabulous friendship, mm-hmm. And I knew Deborah, but I had never worked with her, mm-hmm. and so we were both. Knowing that we were cast in this show, we were both looking forward to working with each other because I know her work, and she knew my work, and so so it was a great. And yes, Yo and I are like,
Yo's fabulous, So tell us, is there anything when you have a Del Shores play? He has his own kind of trademarks. What are the challenges specifically about doing a Del Shores play?
Oh my goodness, there are so many aspects to each of his characters, mm-hmm. and so as an actor, you really want to do right by the character. And it's not easy. You've got to really, really study that mm-hmm. character in order to portray her or him the way that Del wrote that character. And and Del's known for his dialogue. Mm-hmm. His plays are extremely wordy.
Yeah.
So to try to memorize all of that and then to stay in character and keep it going and try to touch every aspect of what that character is supposed to portray, it's some work, but it's good work. I love Del Shores, yes, and I've done every one of his plays that Palm Canyon has produced.
And I think I saw on Facebook he stopped by a rehearsal, did he not, at some point?
He did. Yeah. He did. He came and visited us in case we had any questions about our character. Mm-hmm. And so that was great. And then he came Thursday to our opening night. Mm-hmm. Now that wasn't a little unsettling.
Yeah.
And the audience watching you portray his people, it was like, oh my gosh, it was nerve-wracking, but he was lovely. He loved it, and then we did a Q&A after the show, and mm-hmm. quite a few of the audience stayed. Yeah. So it was.
That's great. So just a little bit about you. So when did you come to the desert? Did you start acting as a kid? Tell us a little bit about you and your background in theater.
Oh, yes. I started acting. I was 5 years old when I did my first play. And so, yes, I have just kind of, high school, a little bit in college. And then it wasn't until maybe, several years I married and had a family and stepped away from the stage. But, oh, my goodness, when I stepped back on stage, that was when I knew that I was home. And so I came to the desert 2006. So I've been with Palm Canyon Theater for 15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where did you move from?
Oh, I'm a Southern California girl. I was just never in Palm Springs. Yeah.
Okay. And Brian has a question for you.
Oh, yeah. Every once in a while I pop in with a question, but I was going to say, I wanted to ask you, because I know you said that you've had a few acting roles when you were younger, but then when you came back after a couple of years of not being a performer, that it really struck you. What is the first performance that you felt you really, dove right in and gave your signature to? What is the first performance that you can truly say was finally you
Here
felt
in the
connected?
desert. Yeah.
You felt connected with it.
Oh, my goodness. I would probably have to say it was Del Shore's Trials and Tribulations of a Trailer Trash Housewife.
Oh, okay.
And that was done about 10 years ago, something like that. Don't quote me on how long ago. But, oh, my gosh, I loved that character. That was my second Del Shore's show. And my first show that I ever did for Palm Canyon Theater was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and I played Nurse Ratched.
Oh, wow.
And I had done Cuckoo's Nest. That was my third time I had done that show. So the third time was obviously at Palm Canyon Theater. So to finally play Nurse Ratched was, oh my gosh, that was fantastic. But I do love comedy. That's probably one of my favorite things to do. So when I was introduced to Del Shore's, I gobbled it up, and I love every minute of it.
I always like to ask actors on your bucket list, is there a show or a particular role that you'd love to do that you haven't done yet?
Well, yes, probably, but but I wouldn't be able to do it now. I'm talking 25 years ago that I would have loved to have done Extremities.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And I wouldn't be able to do that now. It's set for, probably a 30-year-old.
Yeah. Well, there must be something. I'm guessing that something's going to pop up for it, because luckily these days, especially in theater, there are more interesting roles for more mature women, I think, these days than maybe there used to be. But let me get this in. Again, if you want to see the show, This Side of Crazy at the Palm Canyon Theater, tonight 8 p.m., tomorrow 2 p.m., your last chances. Tickets $15 to $30. You can go to palmcanyontheater.net. Again, this is a Del Shore's show with Yo Younger, Melanie Blue, Deborah Harmon, and of course Denise Strand, who we're talking to here, directed by Richard Marlowe. It sounds like you got a big hit. Congratulations. I wish it was more than one weekend.
Oh, me too. But yes, don't miss it, everybody. I'm telling you, it's quite the show.
And Denise, I'd like to ask you, I asked this of both singers and actors, do you have, before a show, before a performance, do you have any sort of rituals that you go through, certain prayers, meditations, the lucky socks, or anything like that? I always am curious about that.
I personally don't. There's things that I used to do for years that I would drop, that I don't do, right now. I used to, yes. It was very important to listen to certain music, but it was based on the character. So whatever I thought my character needed, so I would listen to that very loud on the way to the theater.
Okay.
And I used to carry a handkerchief. And no matter what my character was, if the character used the handkerchief, that was even better. But if it didn't, I would have it with me. I would have it in a pocket or on my person. And so I didn't do that this year. The Diddy Blaylock, Deborah Harmon, she carries the handkerchief.
Oh,
So
okay.
I feel like she's doing that.
In your
With-
honor, sort of, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, Denise Strand, thank you so much for being here. Congratulations on this show. Again, go see it tonight, 8 p.m., tomorrow, 2 p.m., Palm Canyon Theater, This Side of Crazy. 4 really great actresses. Break a Leg, I know it's going to be a great show. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Bonnie. It's been a pleasure to be with you.
All right, have a great day. All right, that's just Denise Strand. Check it out, Palm Canyon Theater. We'll be back with more on the Desert Scene in just a bit.
From musical theater to literature and all the other stuff we enjoy in between, making desert life so vibrant. You're listening to Bonnie G and Brayan Mendoza and the Desert Scene on Radio 111. Here's Bonnie and Brayan.
Salma Hayek got her start on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and she recounted a story, a very troubling
It's
one.
just so bizarre.
So what happened was, before she became the person that she is today, like the very famous Salma Hayek, 2 years after she had left Mexico and came to the United States, she recalled coming to Hollywood Boulevard and getting attacked by a man that was just catcalling her. So a long time ago, like, this man, she ignored him at first because, you know, that's one of those things where, unfortunately, in Hollywood,
It happens.
It happens where,
Yeah.
you know, sadly, there's so many people in Hollywood that you sometimes have to kind of ignore. I feel bad whenever I see like a homeless person or somebody.
Sometimes there are mental health issues. You don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes, you know, you want to help them out, but you can't help out everybody,
Right.
you know, because you'll see one person here and then a few blocks later you'll see someone else there,
Yeah.
and sometimes you can't. And
Yeah.
so she just kind of walked by him and said, you know what, I'm just going to ignore him because
Yeah.
obviously he's catcalling me.
Right.
And she claimed that a few moments later that he came at her with a knife, and she ran into a store and jumped over the counter with her and her friend, and she grabbed a stick to try to protect herself against the man, but eventually she was forced to like wrestle him down.
Oh my gosh.
And it wasn't until 2 Hells Angels bikers came in and pulled the man off of her and rescued her.
Wow. That is so bizarre.
It's such a bizarre.
Now, did he stab her, or was she actually injured in that physically?
I think she was injured a little bit, but
Yeah.
I don't think.
Yeah,
I
not
think
a
in
lot.
the end she was saved by that.
Wow.
And she had talked about how the Hollywood Walk of Fame, because it's on Hollywood Boulevard, she did say that having that star helped her heal from that.
Mm-hmm.
She also talked about how she was always told by studio heads, go back to Mexico and star in telenovelas because, you know, you can't get a job here with your
Yeah.
accent.
Yeah.
And she had kept pushing and pushing
Yeah.
to try to be in movies
Yeah.
here in America. And one of the things she remembers was that she was in a movie theater and someone kicked the back of her seat and said, go back to your country. And she talked about how getting the star felt like a moment of healing for her, because
Yeah.
she said that she worked really hard to get that star.
Yeah.
And here's a quote she said when she kept getting told to go back to your country. She said, but I stayed, and I want to say that everyone that's here, all my lovely fans, if you ask yourself what gave me the courage to say, I say it was you, because although they didn't know me, here in Hollywood, the studios, all the Latins that are in the United States knew who I was. They understood that I came here with dreams like they did.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, she has had a pretty great career. She was Oscar nominated as Frida, and I even think she should have won for that movie because, I don't know, I just think she did a really good job in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the most controversial things about that particular movie was not so much that her performance or anything. It's just that it was one of those things where the behind the scenes, like Harvey Weinstein and
I
all
heard,
that,
he was saying, you're ugly. Why did I put you in this movie to look ugly? Because, you know, Frida had the weird eyebrows. And,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure he sexually harassed her as well. I can't imagine him not, you know.
Oh yeah, and also another thing is that like he also it's just one of those controversial things where like Frida was a great movie, and most people had sort of assumed that she would have won Best Actress that year.
Who won that year?
But that specific year was Nicole Kidman for The Hours.
Oh, okay.
When she played Virginia Woolf. And it was one of those controversial things where Harvey Weinstein was pitting two of his actresses neck and neck together.
Yeah.
And I think in a lot of ways he showed a preference for one, whereas he should have campaigned for both. It's one of those controversial things. But in a lot of ways, Salma Hayek's success is just great because I love the fact that she's able to be in comedies and being able to do all sorts of wonderful things. And I still think her best performance is Frida, but
I never saw that. One of these days I have to see it. I mean, a couple of things, but that's a bizarre story with a knife. I think she's just gorgeous. I mean, she's a very beautiful woman. And what's also interesting, obviously she has her own career and her own money, but she's married to a billionaire. A French billionaire with a B. They have one daughter, so I'm very happy for her. But that's, she's got quite the life. Congratulations to her.
Yeah. No, it's one of those things where like I'm glad she was able to feel like at ease now with that star, because I feel like when you go through so much, even things like a little star and getting an Oscar and getting all these awards and all that, feels like a healing moment.
Yeah, because that would have freaked me out. I don't know how you'd sleep after something like that. You'd be scared to walk down the street ever,
And also, I thought this story was interesting because it is one of those things where, like, sadly, we forget that, like, Hollywood Boulevard, the place where we have all these stars and all that it's still sadly a place with a lot of extreme poverty.
Yeah, there's also, it's a mix of both those things, yeah.
And it's one of those things where, like, I wish... it's one of those things where like I love the stars and all that, but I always try to remember not to like ignore the fact that underneath all that glamour there's
still tragedy and poverty and people having a hard time.
And even with Salma Hayek, with her successes, we still have to remember that all the sacrifices she made to get there.
Right. All right, we're coming back with a second hour of the Desert Scene with my friend Jenise Fryatt, who's playing bass with a new band up in Big Bear. We'll talk to her in just a bit on the Desert Scene.
From architecture to painting and sculpture, literature to live music and theater, Radio 111 presents Bonnie G. and Brayan Mendoza with The Desert Scene, your connection to culture and entertainment in the desert cities. Here's Bonnie and Brayan.
And we're back on the Desert Scene, and we now are welcoming a good buddy of mine I haven't talked to in a while, Jenise Fryatt, who I know as an actress and singer. I know she's a karaoke queen, but I did not know that she played bass, and she's now playing bass in a band called Dragonwolfe. Hi, Jenise. How are you?
Good, thanks. How are you doing, Bonnie?
Good. So I was just so surprised the first time I saw the Facebook post, and there you are playing bass in this band. So tell me about that. So I guess you did play a long time ago when you were younger and then kind of stopped. Is that what happened?
Yeah, but, I can't even say completely that I played. I took a couple of lessons. I practiced a little bit on my own. I had 2 or 3 times I got to play with a couple of other musicians, but that really was it. And that was when I was 19.
Okay. So what made you decide to pick it up again?
Well, as you mentioned, I am a bit of a karaoke person. And so I got to know the karaoke crowd around here in Big Bear. And the KJ, karaoke jockey up here, Pat Young, became a good friend of mine. And one day we were just sitting around, and he said, "Oh, yeah, I really want to get my band together." He had been in bands many times throughout his life. And I said, "Oh, I don't know what." Off the cup of my head, I just said, too bad I don't have my bass anymore. I'd join you." And he just immediately said, "Oh, get a bass. You're in my band."
Wow.
So it was like, okay, you don't know at all if I can play, but you have faith in me, so just that alone makes me want to go out and get the bass.
So you did. So were you? I mean, were you intimidated? Now, did you take lessons again, or how did you get your chops back up?
Well, this is what's funny. It was right before when I got my bass. It was right before a snowstorm, so I was kind of snowed in a little bit up here, and I just started playing around with it. And Pat gave me a few songs to learn, and I just found that for whatever reason, I think it's really because I'm a different person now than I was when I was 19. I'm 58 now, and I've done a lot of meditating, and I don't criticize and edit myself the way I used to. So I just started learning the songs, and when I couldn't do it right away, I didn't get all frustrated the way that I did when I was 19. And put my guitar down. I just kept at it, and I really found that it was easier. It's actually easier now than it was when I was younger. So it came. I was like a duck to water. It was amazing. It shocked me.
Yeah, that's so great. Now, okay, how many people are in the band total?
5.
Okay, and what kind of music do you guys play?
It's very eclectic mix. We all love rock in general, but we do play some country. The members in the band, a couple of the members in the band have been in tribute bands. So one of them was in a Scorpions tribute band, and another one was in a Lynyrd Skynyrd tribute band. So I mean that kind of gives you an idea of all the variety. One of our most popular songs, believe it or not, is oh gosh, what's it? That Led Zeppelin song. I don't know. See, now I'm losing the name of it. Oh, I can't. We'll have to come back to that. But,
okay.
I mean, these are songs basically that most bands don't really do. You know, we just like to do what we like to do.
Okay, and I saw something because I've only been to Big Bear once, so I'm not that familiar with that. Now I know there's a place called the Cave that you guys perform. Are there a number of venues up there that you guys perform at?
Yeah, a couple right now. We're playing mostly right now at Big Bear Bar and Grill.
Okay.
But yeah, we plan to start playing at the Cave again soon.
Now, do you do backup vocals as well?
Yes.
Okay. Excellent.
Yeah, that comes with it. That comes with all that karaoke.
Yeah. And so how long ago was your first performance? How long have you been playing with them?
Oh gosh, I think our very first performance was in the beginning, probably in July, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. But we had been playing for not all the members of the band, but some version of the band had been playing for about a year and a half.
Okay.
Just, practicing.
Right. And now, are you the only woman in the band? Is it all guys?
Yes.
And so how's that dynamic? Do you like that? Or, I mean, I don't know.
I like it, but I got to say those guys, especially all of them have been in bands before. I'm the big newbie, and they have the stamina of rockers. That I'm having to try to build up my stamina. So I like it a lot. They've been so nice to me, so kind, and I'm just. My favorite thing about the whole thing is that I get to play with such amazing musicians. They're very, very accomplished.
Yeah. Well, that's great. What now? Was your husband surprised that you took your life turn that took this turn?
Yeah, kind of. He knew. He knows me, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done so many crazy different things in my life. I don't think anything surprises him anymore.
Yeah. So tell me about life in Big Bear. Now, you've been up there for how long now? That you moved up there?
9 years.
Wow. And I know you have some land and you have chickens and some other stuff. And I mean, do you like grow all your own vegetables and that kind of thing too?
I try to, yeah. I'm really big into like kind of self-sufficient living and homesteading. So yeah, it's a goal of mine, but it hasn't been that easy up here. We've kind of been plagued by gophers.
Oh, okay.
So, but my vegetable garden does pretty well. We've been able to gopher-proof that, and I've got about 11 chickens, and so we get a good amount of eggs every day.
Yeah, and so what was the biggest adjustment when you moved up there from the desert?
Maybe the cold,
Yeah.
I wasn't used to but to be honest, it came in a part of my life where I was totally done with the heat. So I didn't mind it. We heat our house with a wood stove completely. So
Okay.
Every day when it's cold, we have several cords of wood here, and I have to light the fire every day. But these are things I love. I don't mind them at all.
Yeah. Now, is your husband still doing the business, the events business at all from up there?
No. Well, as you can imagine, that kind of
dried up with COVID.
Yeah, downward turn. So, yeah, he's moving on. He's basically retired at the moment, but he's doing a lot of kind of investing kinds of things. He's very accomplished when it comes to that.
Yeah. Okay. That's great. And now what about, so before you got into the bass thing, were you doing, I don't know if there's much theater up there in Big Bear, or were you mostly doing, now you taught yoga for a while. Are you still doing that?
No, I taught yoga for 3 years up here. But no, I kind of took a break from theater and kind of basically karaoke kind of filled that for me. So, I go to karaoke, or I used to go to karaoke two times a week. Now it's like once a week. The band's taking up a lot of my energy. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great people, wonderful friends. Love it.
And so how often do you guys play on average? Like once a week, twice a week, or? At
this moment, it's every couple of weeks.
Okay.
Again, I'm trying to build up my stamina.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. You know what that's like.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've gotten to the point where, I know I have some friends that do, like 3 hours. They sing the tracks for 3 hours and it's just them. And I'm like, I don't think my voice could handle that anymore,
Exactly. So, thank God I'm not the lead vocalist on this. Pat's amazing. I don't know how he does it, but our set's 3 hours. We have 3 sets of 1 hour each, and we're working on a fourth. So, I love to learn new songs. It's wonderful that way, but just standing up there for all that time, kind of. Yeah, tiring.
Yeah. Now, does every member of the band contribute ideas for new songs? And does everyone have sort of equal contribution power, if you will?
Yeah, I would say so. Absolutely. I would say, though, much of it really kind of depends on what Pat can sing. But the amazing thing is that guy is probably the most versatile singer I've ever met. So he can do just about anything. So, yeah, but we all have equal input. It's been really, really nice, especially for a newbie like me. Yeah. And like you said, they've been very encouraging and supportive of you from day one. That's nice.
Yeah. So, now do you feel, and I don't know what kind of musical lessons or anything are in Big Bear, would you want to go back and take lessons again, or is it just kind of better just to learn on the job kind of thing? I wouldn't mind getting a few tips, but I got to say, it just came so easy. I have a good ear, and there hasn't been one song that I've tried to do that I haven't been able to master. And I've tried, right off the bat, I tried doing tough songs. So, even if it's tough at the beginning, my mom was a concert pianist. So one gift that she gave me was because I always wanted to learn the hard songs when I was a kid. Yeah. And when my fingers wouldn't do what I wanted them to do, she taught me to just, you need to repeat it, go slow, do it over and over, and eventually you're going to get faster and faster and faster. And that's pretty much what I do. I don't read music, and again, I have to be thankful for the band members because they're so patient with me. But it's by ear, and I just practice a lot. That's it. Good for you. So does your husband come see the band often?
Yeah, he does. He's been a good supporter. He's my groupie.
Yeah. And now tell me about your kids. Your daughter's married. Now, is she still in the area?
No, she lives in Joshua Tree with her husband, who is a shaman. Okay. And but they're looking to make a move to Austin, and we're actually very strongly considering following them. Wow. Okay. Yeah. And how about your son? Is he musical, theatrical at all? He was always extremely musical. He's a guitarist. He plays all kinds of things, and he composes his own stuff too. But that's not right now. He's living in Kentucky with his girlfriend, and he has a he would get mad at me if I got it wrong, but it's a computer type job.
Okay.
That he has right now.
Okay. And so, you know what? I was so happy to hear this story, because one thing I love hearing is women in particular who, we're all, over 50, over 55, getting up there, but who are not only still creative and strong, but finding new things. I love hearing about people that find new creative outlets or pick up something from years ago, or just find something brand new that they never knew they wanted to do and just running with it. I mean, I just think there's something about women as we get older where I don't know if we just feel freer to do it. And I don't, it's not always just because the kids have grown up and left, because I don't have children. I know some other women my age who don't have children. There's just something about this age that becomes freeing. Do you feel that? Have you felt that?
Oh, completely. And again, like I can learn things bass just was easier for me at 58 than it was when I was 19. Mm-hmm. That should tell you a lot.
Yeah.
It tells me that I was getting in my way from the very beginning because of the stuff that was going on in my head. Mm-hmm. And I've worked on that stuff. I've worked a lot on it. So I think that's really the reason why I can do what I can do now when I couldn't when I was 19.
Yeah. Okay, so Dragonwolfe, DRAGONWOLFE. Do you guys have a website that people could check out where you're going to be and that kind of stuff?
We don't have a website. We have a Facebook page.
Okay.
It's called Dragonwolfe and Friends.
Okay, super. Well, Jenise Fryatt, congratulations. I'm just so thrilled and excited to hear that you're doing this new venture, and it sounds like it's going gangbusters. So, but continued success. Great to talk to you.
Wonderful to talk to you, Bonnie. Thank you so much.
All right, have a great day. Jenise Fryatt, Dragonwolfe. All right, we'll be back with more on the Desert Scene in just a bit.
He likes to read. She likes to sing and act. They both love the Coachella Valley. And they love talking about the desert scene with you on Radio 111. Here's Bonnie G. and Brayan Mendoza.
And we're back. I just have to say something. I love our little bumpers in between, but I also have to say, I also like to read, and I think you also like to act. So I think we're kind of well-rounded. But,
I was gonna say, I like to watch movies too. There's plenty of stuff.
Yeah, we do. We all do all of it. So.
Oh Lord, I mean, it's a cute bumper, but
it is cute. It's cute. It's not like I don't read. Come on. Okay. So what do you got, Brayan?
So I showed Bonnie earlier this Pride Nutcracker from Target.
It is so cute. It's adorable. You got to go online and find this. It's a nutcracker, the Christmas nutcracker thing, but he's got a pride flag, and it's adorable.
Oh yeah, and so what happened was that it is one sold out item. So basically, a couple of days ago, I think yesterday or something, they introduced this thing, and it went on TikTok, which is this app that everything just goes viral on, and there have been over 500,000 views on certain videos, and there have been millions of views, and people have been going out into stores and buying these and they've been selling out because the LGBT community and the young communities just want to buy that.
I think it's great. I think it's fabulous.
And so this little thing, for the most part, I some reactions have been really positive. People saying it's beautiful.
How much is it? Does it say?
I'm not entirely sure.
Okay.
Let me look up the price, but it is. I imagine it isn't super expensive, but
I wouldn't think so.
But from my understanding, a lot of people love it because it's it's actually called the Pride Nutcracker.
Yeah.
So for those of you who haven't seen it, it has a nice rainbow little hat, and it has
rainbow flag
with the trans symbol on it.
Yeah.
And it also has a blue rainbow-ish, light blue, pink, purple, and rainbow colors all over itself.
Yeah, it's very cute. It's very nice decor.
And for those of you in Palm Springs wondering, it is out of stock.
Okay.
So it is. I
bet they'll be getting them back in soon.
Oh yeah, they'll be getting them back in soon. I remember some of the reactions were this one person on Twitter saying, for some reason it's so ridiculous. It feels like the greatest pride event in my lifetime, but also I hate crime because I love it. I hate nutcrackers, but I love it. It's like, and there's other person said, I'm going to take this to my grandparents' house and make a statement.
Well, yeah, we hope it's not going to start any family feuds, but I think it's
cute.
Great.
It is cute, and I think that nutcracker design needs some re-upping and all
right,
that.
And you always gotta modernize things and freshen stuff up every now and then.
And also, I think from my understanding is that they have like different colored ones. I think they have ones that are like lighter skin and some that are darker skin. So
it's really inclusive.
And all that, and
diversity, love
diversity,
it.
And it's just a really pretty looking. The design itself is really pretty to look at.
Yeah, it's very attractive just as decor, even if you took the symbolism out of it. It's just very attractive.
Yeah. And also, are you gonna get one, Bonnie, if you see one at the store?
I probably will. If nothing else, I've got a million friends I could give who would love one.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Certainly. And it's one of those ones that I would love to have it because my mom would love the way it looks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know she would see the rainbow and all that. She's like, oh, so what? It has a rainbow on it. It's cute. It's like a cute little design.
It's not like it's obnoxious, in your face, kind of thing. It's very attractive.
I've seen some like pride things that they have at Target that are very, I wouldn't say obnoxious, but they're like very tacky looking.
Yeah,
like
and this is not tacky looking at all.
Yeah, and it's like, and it certainly makes it clear what it looks like,
mm-hmm.
what it's trying to say. But I think it's also like, I've seen some cups where like
classy looking,
and it's pretty.
Mm-hmm.
And another positive thing in the world is that Sesame Street has finally debuted Ji Young, its first Asian American.
And I heard now there's some backlash. Somebody on a right-wing Fox or whatever's all upset. It's like, shut up,
And the CPAC, I think it's a Republican.
Yeah, they said they're not invited. Who cares?
Yeah.
They don't want to go to CPAC.
And they're also trying to cut funding for it, but it's also like, there's always this joke that every other year somebody wants to cut funding from Sesame Street. It's at this point where Sesame Street just wants to like introduce something to the world, or they'll bring on something positive, and then somebody wants to like defund them, and I'm like, if you were gonna defund Sesame Street, you should have done it back in the 60s.
Yeah, years ago. I mean, and it's like, sometimes I get speechless about all this. What? First of all, don't you have something better to do? Number one, these people that are, and what is? The world is full of all kinds of different people, which is what makes life interesting. What is the problem?
That's what I was going to say. And also, like, the thing is, though, is that I think that they created this character sort of like, because their mindset was, I think our puppets shouldn't just be like monsters, but I think they should represent real people and all that.
Exactly, yeah.
And because they had a black Muppet character last year, and so they introduced an Asian
mm-hmm.
character this year.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're going out of their way to not only cast like the appropriate actors, so like the Muppeteers or like people of color, but they
mm-hmm.
also go out of their way to make sure that kids feel represented with these puppets.
Exactly. Because, I mean, this is about, a lot of it's about educating children. So we need children to understand the world is full of all kinds of different people, and to learn that young, so that, you're not surprised when you get older and go out in the world and say, wow, everybody's not like me.
And also another thing is that it really benefits the Asian community because
Absolutely.
of the fact
they've been slammed so much the last few years. Yeah,
yes.
unfairly
and all that, especially during the pandemic. So I think this was made as sort of like a response.
Great timing.
To that.
Yep.
It's good timing and all that. But we have a guest coming on.
Yes, Lois Bourgon. I want to make sure I get her name right. She's a wonderful singer. Is doing a cabaret show here in the desert on the 28th. We'll talk to her in just a moment on the Desert Scene.
Bonnie and Brian continue with the Desert Scene on Radio 111. Here they are.
And we're back on the Desert Scene, and we're now joined by Lois Bourgon. I want to make sure I get that right. Who's a wonderful singer. She's going to be here in the desert on Sunday, November 28th, doing a cabaret show at the Arthur Newman Theater at the Jocelyn Center called You Are My Lucky Star, My Years Working with Debbie Reynolds. Hi, Lois. How are you?
I'm good, Bonnie. Thank you so much for having me on the show today.
Absolutely. So tell us about work. I had the privilege, gosh, it's been, well, she's passed away now, but I once interviewed Debbie Reynolds on the phone on my radio show years ago, and she was fabulous. She was charming. So tell us about working with her.
It was a wonderful experience. It really colored my whole life. And it was a very long time ago. But I was with a group called The Unusual We, and we happened to be, we sang one of the nominated songs at the Golden Globe Awards in 1970. Mm-hmm. And Debbie saw us, and she loved us, and we auditioned for a tour she was putting together, and that's how we started working with her. But she was great. She was just so accessible and genuine. She always, made sure that we were all doing well. And we remained friends with her really our whole lives.
So how long did you tour with her? How long were you working with her?
Only about 2 years.
Okay.
But those years were really defining for all of us. The girls in the group, there are 5 of us, we remained best friends our whole lives. We still are, although one of us has died. And Debbie even came to some parties that we had, or she threw parties where we went to them, as well as whenever we'd go to see her perform, she'd always introduce us to the audience by name. Mm-hmm. She's just very generous and loving.
And tell me again what the name of your group was?
It was called The Unusual We.
We, W-E?
Yes.
Okay, interesting. And so what kind of music did you do?
Popular songs of the day. We were an opening act in Las Vegas for a number of different stars on the main stages. We worked with people like Robert Goulet and Frankie Avalon, George Carlin, Phil Harris, and Harry James. Mm-hmm. And then we started working with Debbie, and then we were exclusively with Debbie for a while.
So let's go back up a little bit. Tell me about how you personally got started. Did you start singing as a kid? Did you always know that's what you wanted to do?
I always sang in school, and I was always in the shows at school. And I took voice lessons. I won some scholarships, both in junior high school and high school, that gave me the money to have some singing lessons. Mm-hmm. And actually, my voice teacher was the one that sent me on an audition to some, he didn't send me an audition. He sent me to some agents that he knew. And they sent me on the one audition, which I got the job with The Unusual We. Mm-hmm. And I had been working at TWA in reservations at the time. Mm. And all of a sudden, I was off in Las Vegas on the main stage in the Frontier Hotel.
Wow.
Weeks later. And it was like, wow, all of a sudden my life just changed to make this wonderful, wonderful way. And so that's how I became professional. Mm-hmm. And then the group, after about a year, we, as I said, sang that song at the Golden Globe Awards, which Debbie saw and then asked us to audition for her tour.
So did you click with the group, The Unusual We? Did you all click right away?
Yeah, we did. It was a group of girls. The guys, we all got along. Mm-hmm. There wasn't any divas, really. Mm-hmm. And especially the girls, we all became best friends and remained that way.
Yeah, that's great.
It was a group, you think maybe showgirls as being, I don't know, kind of loose or, drinking and carrying on. But this group of girls was not like that at all. Mm-hmm. Just very, very wholesome. Mm-hmm. And we all just got along well.
Did your family encourage you when you were young to pursue this as a career?
No, I didn't really have it. My mother always wanted me to sing whenever I was doing, she'd always say, come on, sing for my friends whenever she'd have anybody over. But it was, she never really pushed me in any direction. Mm-hmm. It was basically almost an accident that I got in.
really.
So tell me how this particular show came together that you're going to do on the 28th.
Well, I've done a number of different cabarets, and my director, Clifford Bell, whom I think you know.
Love him, yes.
Yes, he's so fabulous.
Yeah.
And I've done a number of things with him in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And this one, I said, I really want to do something as a tribute to my time working with Debbie Reynolds. Because I felt so strongly about it.
Yeah.
Especially after she died.
Yeah.
And so he helped me come up with the show. And we've contacted Todd Fisher, whom I knew, because we traveled with Todd when he was a little boy. And since then, I've seen him a number of different times. And he encouraged me to do it as well. So that's how it came about.
And now you're
a wonderful musical director,
Steve Rollins. Yeah. And now I see special guests Sue Evans and Sherry Williams and Jack Messenger. Now, were they in the original group?
Sue Evans and Sherry Williams were both.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
In the group. Sue is a dancer mainly, and she was one of the original, founding members of The Unusual We.
Okay.
And then Sherry is a fabulous jazz singer. I don't know if she's worked much in Palm Springs, but she works a lot. She lives in Temecula.
Okay.
And she runs the Merc there.
Okay.
And she's got a number of albums. She's very well known. She's great. And
how about Jack Messenger?
He's my other half.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And he's just got a sweet, really nice voice, and he's also, we together produce theater here in the South Bay where we live.
Okay.
And he's really good an actor, and doesn't think he sings that well, but he really does.
Okay.
So we just asked him to sing a couple of duets with me.
Okay, so I always love to ask, because I sing professionally too, I always love to ask singers. First of all, when let's say you don't have a show coming up, are you somebody that vocalizes a little bit every day?
When I have a show coming up, I vocalize every day. I can't say that I'm that diligent about it when I'm not working on something. Yeah, I should, but.
And now, do you read music, or do you play an instrument as well?
I read music to a degree, but I don't play an instrument. I have a piano where I can plunk out notes, but I don't really play.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And then I always love to ask this question. Before a show, before a performance, do you have any sort of rituals, or a lucky ring you wear, or a certain prayer you say? I'm always curious about that.
I do not. Okay. I just, I do a warm-up for sure, and we always have a rehearsal of some sort before we go on. But no, I don't have any rituals.
And now, when let's say that you were going to a club to go see some other performer, or it's a jam session or something, and someone said, "Lois, come up and sing a song." Do you have a go-to song, or a couple go-to songs in that kind of situation?
Depends on. I have in the past, if I'm working on a show, I did a show about regarding the high standards. I called it the Great American Songbook. So I had a number of songs that I was working on at that time that I would probably go to something like that.
Like what's one of your favorites from the Great American Songbook?
Oh, I did a wonderful medley from Porgy and Bess.
Oh yeah.
Summertime and I Love You, Porgy.
Yeah.
I had a great arrangement that Steve put together from that.
Now, is Steve Rollins? Is he based in the same area that you live?
He's lives more towards Hollywood.
Okay.
And I live in poor Steve and Clifford have to travel a bit when they come to rehearse with me here, but we've been managing it for years. It works out.
So what other obviously this show, it sounds like you had wanted to do for a while, to put this show together, this tribute to Debbie Reynolds. Do you have other shows kind of percolating in the back of your head, things on your bucket list that you want to do as a performer?
I haven't thought of my next project yet. Actually, this one has been
kind of germinating, and we did it at the Catalina Bar and Grill about a month ago, and it's been pretty much just thinking about this.
Yeah. And do you have? Are you going to take it other places on the road after the 28th? Do you think?
We're thinking about it. We haven't found the next venue yet, but we are thinking about it.
Okay. And tell me about the theater. You and your husband, you and your partner produce theater in the Bay Area. Tell me about that.
Well, we've been doing it before the pandemic anyway at a little theater in Hermosa Beach called the Second Story Stage.
Okay.
And after about a year of the pandemic, and after people started feeling a little bit more confident about getting out, we started doing it in our backyard.
Oh.
And we've done we've done 2 plays and a cabaret in our backyard, and people just loved it because they got outside, out of the house and outside where they felt comfortable. And we had lighting and everything. We had a beautiful backyard with a really nice patio area that became the stage.
Yeah.
And it worked out really well. But now we're going back. We're going to be doing a play in June back at the Second Story. They're starting to do plays again there. So.
And have you found the sort of producing behind the scenes thing just as fulfilling creatively as being out on stage?
In some ways, yes, but it's a lot. It's a lot of work.
A lot of work, yeah.
Especially when you're doing lighting in your backyard and having to hang the lights yourself.
Yeah.
And getting it, and covering them every night with some plastic so they don't get wet.
Oh dear, yeah.
So
yeah, it's a lot of work.
But yeah.
Well,
it's been fun.
I want to encourage everyone to go check out. I've done a couple shows at the Arthur Newman. It's wonderful. And Les Michaels has put together this wonderful cabaret series. So you want to check out Lois Bourgon. I'm going to get that right. You Are My Lucky Star. My years working with Debbie Reynolds. Directed by Clifford Bell. Musical director Steve Rollins. Special guests Sue Evans, Sherry Williams, and Jack Messenger. It's Sunday, November 28th. Doors open at 2 p.m. Shows at 3 p.m. Tickets are $15, cash only at the door. It's a great little venue, and it sounds like it's going to be a wonderful show. Congratulations to you, and break a leg, and thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me, Bonnie.
All right, go check out Lois. You Are My Lucky Star. All right, we'll be back with more.
Thank you.
You're welcome. On the Desert Scene in just a bit.
The Desert Scene on Radio 111. Cultural events and the people who make it happen in the desert cities with Bonnie G and Brayan Mendoza.
Today we get to do pop culture history real quick, and then we got a couple housekeeping things for you. So on November 19th, which was yesterday, if you're listening to this later on, that's the day we're going to focus on.
Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
Yes, when it was. I was going to say, what else do I have to say? Rocky and His Friends debut. So basically the very first incarnation of the Rocky and Bullwinkle show shows up.
What year was that?
1959.
Okay.
In 1959, November 19th, and then November 20th, 1973, a Charlie Brown Thanksgiving finally airs for the first time. And then let's go ahead and go over to November 21st, 1942, Tweety Bird first appears in his very first skit, A Tale of Two Kitties.
Okay.
Now, that he was originally called Orson, and he was very different.
He was called Orson?
Yes, in that first one. And he also was a jerk, if I remember that one.
Oh, really?
Like, I was actually thinking about this the other day. I was like, when I was looking at these, I was like, that very first Tweety skit, he was so mean to the cats, and I was like, he does this like really weird thing where like his character is just like sleepy all day, but then like instantly when something happens, you can tell in his eyes that he's really just wants to start some trouble because he wants to beat the crap out of these like cats. And I'm sitting there like, well, he's not as nice as I remember him being. And then next week, November 25th, 3 Men in 1987, 3 Men and a Baby finally comes out in theaters. Did you ever see that one, 3 Men and a Baby?
I saw the original, yeah.
And that one was okay, if I remember that being.
It was entertaining.
It was entertaining, yeah. And then last year, around the same time, Saved by the Bell finally came back. So if you're into that, it came back. And then November 26th, in 1865, the very first American edition of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland shows up, finally gets published.
That was the book. Okay.
Yes, the book. And then in 1942, November 26th, a movie, a very, very, very famous movie, gets into limited release, Casablanca. So I do want to also address some housekeeping while we still have a little bit of time. Now, we're not going to be having a show next week because of Thanksgiving. So, again, stay safe out there and be sure, not only because of what's going on in the news, so there might be some political fire here and there, but also
watch your back. Be careful wherever you are.
Yeah. And also just be careful not to get someone sick during the holidays. Get that booster as we've encouraged. And also just be sure to, just make smart decisions during the holidays.
Inside with a bunch of people, wear a mask, all that good stuff.
Yes, definitely. And also, I do want to encourage people to check out the social media handles for Radio 111. So the media handles are for Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
And the website.
And the website. So, So it's radio111.com. So same with everything else. So it's Radio 111, not Radio 111 spelled out.
Yeah, 111.
Yeah. So just wanted to let everybody know that there's going to be some announcements / changes and updates to all the programs, including Flicks and Picks, which was the program that I did last 2 hours ago. But that also includes this program. So be sure to check out for any updates during Thanksgiving weekend or the week afterwards for any updates. There's going to be some things changing, and there's on-demand podcasts. So if you missed an episode or anything like that, go on there and check those episodes.
You can find it, And we will be doing, in some form or another, a holiday show special. So watch for that.
Oh, yeah. So definitely we do have a holiday special coming up, which we're excited about because I imagine we're going to get some musical guests, right?
Yes, we are. Yep.
Stories and all that. So definitely that's coming up in about a month because honestly, after next week, it's like 3 weeks and then Christmas.
It all comes pretty fast.
Yes. And certainly I do also want to mention that, again, follow these websites for any updates.
For updates,
Updates, because there's going to be some big changes on Radio 111, and don't say that we didn't let you know. There's going to be some changes and announcements.
Yeah. So just keep up. Just check the website, check Facebook, and you'll stay updated.
Yes, certainly, and also just want to remind everybody that again, like, podcasts are online, so there's going to be definitely check out those podcasts for any additional episodes and all that. And I just wanted to say that, like, I hope you have a happy Thanksgiving, Bonnie.
You too. I'm going to be enjoying my salmon. Everyone else is having turkey. But I want to say real quick to get in, thank you to our guests, Jenise Fryatt, Denise Strand, and Lois Bourgon. Great women. It was Ladies' Day today.
Ladies' Day and all that. I should have when I wrote the episode synopsis, I should have written, it's Ladies' Day at...
Very creative ladies. So, we're so, go out there, stay safe, but things are opening up more and more for entertainment. So just if you're going to go see stuff, be safe. If you're inside, wear a mask. If some things are outside, get your boosters. I mean, that's the smartest thing to do.
And also financially, don't stress yourself too much over Thanksgiving dinner. So, like, if you feel like, you got to save some money to go buy a Thanksgiving dinner at a restaurant.
Don't go crazy with money.
Don't go crazy.
Or at Christmas either. You don't need to do it.
Yeah, so don't worry about it, and don't feel like you're less because you have to buy it. Just go and buy that Thanksgiving dinner at Denny's.
Whatever works.
Whatever
all right.
Works for
Happy
you.
Thanksgiving. Watch the website, and we'll talk to you soon on the Desert
We'll see you soon. And happy Thanksgiving and be safe.